What's good, YouTube? Men of Steel here. With the release of Triumphant Light, there comes more expert solo battles and more guides for me to make. And as you can see from the title, this one's how to beat Leafeon, not only with all dark types, but also 3 diamonds or less. Full transparency, this has been one of the challenges that I've had the hardest time finding a consistent way to beat. And what I mean by that is that I personally try out a deck and not only okay, this deck beats it. I try to repeat the challenge over and over to make sure that if I just gave this deck to a random person, would they be able to repeat the success I had? And honestly, the first few iterations that I had are capable of beating it, but it wasn't until I found the one that I'll show you later in the video that I felt confident that anybody could take this and get the W. However, it goes without saying that multiple attempts might be required, as this deck is probably one of the strongest that they've made for extra solo battles. The speed in which Leafeon sets up both Yanmega and itself to attack is something that most decks can't keep up with, even if you weren't limiting yourself to just one type or 3 diamonds or less. To the point where I could even recommend, for time's sake, to save your time, even auto concede if you're going first, because this Leafeon deck going second is swinging for 70 as early as turn 2, and you have nothing going for you at that point. But before we get into how we're going to beat it or fear mongering you about how broken the deck that we're going against is, let's actually look into what this deck is. The main catalyst, or the main reason this deck exists, is a Leafeon. Leafeon at face value isn't the biggest threat, as it only deals 70 damage, but the issue is how fast it gets there, because thanks to their ability Forest Breath, once during their turn, as long as it's in the active, they could grab a grass energy from your energy zone and just give it to any grass Pokemon on your side of the field. Thus, when they're going second, they're attacking way too soon and way too hard for you to actually have any kind of counter attack or plan. One thing to note, that their secondary attacker is Yanmega, but if you play as many games as I did, you start realizing that's kind of their main attacker. This deck loves to just completely ignore everything that's going on and just charge up Yanmega as much as possible. And you'll see it where they'll be they'll have Leafeon and Yanmega. If they set both of them up, all their energy is going to the Yanmega. The Leafeon is no longer a threat, which is why it's important to go second, as you'll be able to have the advantage on attacks. And when it goes back to their turn, even though they have Leafeon, they can't attack you just yet, because the most they could get on either Pokemon is 2 energy. But with that said, I want to gear your eyes towards the X speed. This X speed is glued to their hand, and you're never safe. You'll see them play, and you're thinking midway through that they're just misplaying, because they'll do the turn I just said. They'll ramp up their Yanmega in the back, and then the following turn, they'll give all their energy, once again, Leafeon and their turn energy, to that Yanmega. You see Yanmega with 4 sitting back there, and you're like, why would they do that? I guess I'm safe. You're never safe. Every time you think they're misplaying, they'll have that X speed, they'll bring out Yanmega, and they'll start swinging like crazy. However, this tunnel vision aggression is something we can take advantage of, as the Leafeon doesn't tend to be a threat unless it's the only thing on the board. And if it's the only thing on the board, then that's the only thing we have to take care of, and it's only dealing 70 damage, so it's something that we could actually mitigate or take advantage of. As for the supporters, Erica is actually easier to play around, because they have kind of the mentality that the video games have, where if they're not in critical condition, they won't use the Erica. So if you're just slightly poking, or you just use poison, spoiler alert on what we're using, they won't use the Erica unless they actually get full value of it. So usually it doesn't come up. Same thing with Sabrina and Cyrus. Due to the way we're playing, we basically get rid of Cyrus, and they don't use Sabrina the way that we would. It's not they see us building up something in the back and wait, that's a problem, and they'll bring it out with Sabrina. They'll completely ignore anything that you're doing back there, as long as it doesn't game-changingly win them the game, or they get a knockout that they couldn't do otherwise. So for the most part, in my practice, those were kind of non-issues. The Cyrus and Sabrina they have never really came up. Now that we've seen everything that their deck is made up of and what they're trying to do, let's go into how we're going to beat it consistently, and that is with Muck. And I know you're thinking, oh wait, didn't you beat the last one with Scolipede? And Scolipede could also work similar to the way you beat the Yanmega one from Space Time, but the speed in which Leafeon gets their attacks going, the fact that Scolipede's an extra stage actually is huge. And on paper, it sounds redundant, because Muck and Scolipede can't attack until the same exact turn due to Muck's energy requirement and Scolipede's evolution requirement. But the fact that Muck gets to skip from basic to your main attacker is game-changing, because not only is it more consistent, Muck could actually take a hit from both Leafeon and Yanmega. Meanwhile, Whirlipede, the middle ground between Venipede and Scolipede, cannot. And the little amount of time that this extra HP gives you is enough to turn the tide and make this battle a lot more doable. As far as the majority of the deck, it is your standard Weezing, Koga, Scolipede deck. Just we replaced Scolipede completely with Muck. And then the outliers, as you can see below, is probably the Potion and the Giant Cape. The reason we play Giant Cape is actually another enormous reason, similar to why Muck is better than the entire Scolipede line. And it's solely that Yanmega could one-shot Weezing, completely nullifying the fact that it's a wall. It no longer feels like a wall if they could just run through it immediately. It's a door at that point. What Cape does is give Weezing just enough HP to survive a Yanmega attack, which when you look at their list, they have no Geo, they have no Rocky Helmet. There's no way for them to punish you for using the Cape. And technically, on a competitive standpoint, using Cape on a Pokemon that you're going to Koga is counterproductive. But this is not a competitive setting. This is you against an AI that's just trying to do one thing and one thing only. And you're able to build completely around that strategy. The potion is just in case, like early on, they tag the Grimer or the Muck for 20. You're able to bring it back up to 130 and out of range of a Yanmega attack. It's very important to survive Yanmega attacks if it's not if it hasn't been cleared enough. So at face value, I'm aware this looks like your standard or your generic Koga list, but trust me, those little details that come into why we're using Muck over Scolipede or why Cape is even in the list go a long way in making this challenge consistent. Hopefully this list lets you complete the challenge, and feel free to stick around for the gameplay as you'll get a better idea as I put my words into practice and y'all see it firsthand what I mean when I do certain plays or why certain cards are very important. If you found this video helpful or are interested in all things Pokemon Pocket, please consider subscribing as there's a lot more to come for not only expert solo battles but Pokemon content in general. Good luck with the challenge, and above all else, stay pro. Alright, so step 1 complete, we're going second. And from here we get to see our opening hand. Grimer is not the ideal opener, but it's also not the worst. As like if they open poorly, Grimer could kind of like solo this as you build up into the Muck and eventually just win, but that's not a promise or a guarantee. That's just a potential situation that you'll find yourself in. Although we know that they have Yanma, so it's gonna get a little ugly. All right, so we're gonna thin the deck out of as much basic Pokemon as we can before we're using research. Alright, let's see what research gets us. We have Leaf, we have research again. And might as well put one of these down. And although they're gonna evolve and completely like get rid of the poison, a little chip damage won't hurt nobody. Alright, let's see the research again. There's Yanmega. Do they have Leafeon? They do. In situations like this, they always build up the Yanmega in the back. So let's see what we could do if we could take advantage of that. We could technically Leaf, but it puts us behind on, and we have the Cape as well, right? Or we could also just start building up this Grimer in the back. Yeah, that might be the play. Regardless, whatever we put up front is in danger. Okay, yeah, so in order to save Leaf, and we're not going to use Koga this turn, let's try to look for the Muck. Okay, we got it. And, alright, so plan B, we just start building these up. We're going to Cape here, because that's Cape's main reason, if not only, almost sole reason, is just so that Weezing could survive a Yanmega attack. Let's go here, and the reason we're not evolving this into Muck is so that we could poison again. And although almost guaranteed, they're going to Leafeon ability, apply the energy, and then X speed. Yeah, and now they're gonna X speed. They do it like every time. Yeah, without fail. So this Grimer was gonna like, we're gonna lose it anyways. It's just part of the game, I guess. Alright, so this is where the setup where we end up winning. It looks ugly, and it takes a lot of moving parts, but I promise you, if you follow to some extent this playstyle or this way to play, you'll get there. Now we have to evolve Muck. Actually, before I always poison. Don't forget to do that. But before we have to evolve Muck now, because they play Sabrina and they could just bring it out and knock it out, and we have to completely like let the Weezing go and just build up this Muck. Alright, and what's the follow-up there? Let's go here. Alright, and the reason we're doing this, let's make sure I don't forget anything that's going on. So yeah, Yanmega's gonna go down to 130. It goes down to 120 on our turn, and then we're able to Koga the Weezing and Muck. And yeah, we get rid of the Cape, but the Cape is only there. It's not there for like anything besides surviving this upcoming turn, right? We want to avoid giving them points if possible. Yeah. So, and that's game. And the reason you don't want to, like, let's say commit too much damage, or like, had we gone that turn and attacked with Weezing and not build up the Muck, they play Ericas and Capes and stuff like that. So if you hit them too much, they will use an Erica full heal, and then you didn't really do anything, and your Muck's not ready. So you gotta keep all of that in mind when doing like certain plays. There's no reason not to evolve Weezing here. But yeah, the play is here. And now next turn, if you notice, they have no way of attacking us. And they only have 1 point, right? So it's safe to say we got at this point. And another thing that the computer does for some reason is, in this situation, instead of bringing out Leafeon, they'll bring out like the Yanma or something. Because like the Leafeon can't attack and they don't want to put in danger. But then again, I just get proved wrong. So what do I know? Alright, so there's okay. You see, it took a little longer for them to get there, but yeah, for some reason, I don't know. Once you beat their like main attacker, the game breaks. Like the CPU, when they're winning, they'll do every single play. They'll have every single card to win. But the second like you shift the tides, they forget what they're doing, and stuff like this happens. But yeah, and as you can see, I have tested a lot, and I know like almost exactly what they're trying to do. It's just not like a flex. It's just to show you that I'm actually trying to give y'all the best chance to like beat this mission. And alright, going first. I'll try it out. It's not ideal, but I'll try it out just to like maybe I could post y'all, give y'all some hope. But again, if you're trying to like save time, the second you flip first, just retry. Is my honest advice. Although usually they start Eevee. Like if they had Eevee here, it was basically game over. The reason I'm trying it out is because of the fact that we did in fact draw. I mean, they started with Yanma. If it was Eevee, it's just basically game over. And if they have an X-Speed here, it's also just game over. Yeah, so it's like really ugly from here on out, but we'll give it our best try here. Unfortunately, we're not like playing Geo or nothing. The situations where this comes up is very unlikely, so might as well go research here. Alright, so we have everything like coming together though. Usually I don't actually. Is there a reason to? I think it's more important to build up Muck actually than dealing the damage here. In a perfect world, like the turn will come right back to us, but it's not very likely. So let's just do that and bring on Muck. Yeah, the idea in not attacking there is basically, yeah, they can't attack it. It's what it comes down to. All right, so there I guess I misplayed because. But I was like preparing for the worst almost, if that makes sense. Alright, so the good thing is that we could cape, and that allows it so like Leafeon can't knock us out. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this is like an anomaly in terms of like how they're playing or the cards they're seeing. But I'm not gonna complain about it. Alright, so here the rest of the game is pretty simple. We survive this hit, we gas leak, pull them for 30, and just build up the Muck in the background, and we should win the trades, especially since they have 0 points up to this point. There's a world where we could like Koga to save the Weezing, but it's just too many moving parts for like the same end goal, end result, I guess. Yeah, so we definitely just poison here. I guess it doesn't hurt, right? Actually no, because we already used the. Yeah, let's just focus on the fact that if we beat this Leafeon, we win the game. So if you were also playing for like save points, then that's where you would have backed up the Weezing and taken a few extra steps. But yeah, just like that, the game's over. And winning and going first, we somehow won. But again, for the sake of like your own time, I do recommend trying to go second, as it's a much more consistent way of beating this deck, as their medium to best hands will always beat you going second. Like if you go first, I mean, like if they're going second, their mediocre hands like body you. So that's one way to look at it. But as you can see, it is doable whether you're going first or second. But trust me, if you go second and you follow sort of the idea that I did in that first game, you're very consistently going to beat this. And hopefully this list works for you the same way it worked for me. It did take multiple iterations. Like I tried Scolipede. I tried like splitting the challenge into two, like using Blaine and then using like some kind of Darkrai list. I personally believe this is the best way to attack the challenge. Wishing y'all the best of luck and stay pro.